The NBA season is almost upon us. We're only a few days away from preseason games coming on, and me and JB are going to break down our season preview. 3 teams we're excited about, and 3 teams not so much. We're going to get into all that and more on today's Six-Man Shenanigans, aka NBA Central.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.
What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of NBA Central, your number one spot for everything basketball related. We got my brother JB back in the building. What's going on, sir?
What's going on, man? Glad to be back.
Absolutely, bro. I'm glad to have you back, and we're going to do this a lot more consistently. But JB, let's jump right into it, man. So we're going to do our season preview, and I think, rather than go team by team and the way that a lot of people do it, I figured we just get right into the shits. 3 teams that we're really excited about, 3 teams not so much that we think are going to struggle, are going to outwardly suck, whichever way you want to do it. I'll turn it over to you first, JB. Which is the team, one of the teams you are most excited about coming into the season?
I'm going to start with the Minnesota Timberwolves for mainly 2 reasons. Number one, Ant-Man, trying to see if he's taking another step to superstardom. They had a great season last season, and I'm excited. Again, Ant-Man also, if you don't know, I'm a Knicks fan. And even though Julius Randle and Devo is no longer part of the team, it's once a Knick, always a Knick for us. So I'm glad to see what they do. We saw Ju just sign that he just re-signed a big contract, be an integral part of the team. And I'm excited to see what the Wolves do. I think they'll have a good season. I think they'll have a deep run in the playoffs as well.
Yeah, and the Wolves, they 2 straight years to make it to the Western Conference Finals. Like, they haven't gotten over that hump yet. Ant, who really took, more people need to talk about the growth of Anthony Edwards, because he came into the league as a crazy athlete. He's still crazy athletic, but his shot wasn't great. He was the best 3-point shooter in basketball last year, damn near. So the way that he continues to add to his game, I do think they're going to need him to make another step. He's grown as a playmaker. He's grown as a shooter. But I still think that team is missing that. I think they need a really good point guard there next to Ant. Mike Conley's on his, he's on his way out. He has his moments, but he's not what he used to be. But that still is a very good team to be excited about. Julius Randle played some of the best basketball consistently in the playoffs that we've ever seen him play. And so we'll see what the Minnesota Timberwolves can do next season. Do you think they have enough to potentially get over the OKC Thunder this year in the playoffs if it came to it?
It depends on what kind of season. What it's all around Ant. If Ant is prepared to do that, OKC is going to be tough, man. It's going to be hard to stop them. I don't care which team you are, but if we're going to talk maybe the top three teams that have a chance to do it, I would for sure put my money on the Wolves for sure.
Fair enough. A team that I'm excited about, and I hate to admit this because I'm a Bulls fan, is the Detroit Pistons. Cade Cunningham had himself a season last year, and I think that this season, using that as a launching pad, I think Cade Cunningham could potentially, have one of those seasons where you look at him and you're like, no, he's not just a star. He's on the border of being a superstar. I think that can come. I like what they did to their bench. I wish they had Malik Beasley back as well, but they added Duncan Robinson. They try to get some more shooting in there. I really like this Pistons roster. Jaden Ivey needs to stay healthy for a full season, and I think this is a team, especially in the Eastern Conference. The Indiana Pacers aren't going to be much this year. I still think the Celtics are going to be a solid team, but of course not what they were before. This is a year where the Detroit Pistons can really try to make their move up the Eastern Conference.
If you're watching this and you're a fellow Knicks fan, I need you to mute this for the next 30 seconds or so. I'm going to be real with you. I originally had Detroit on my list, and I swapped them out for Minnesota because I'm like, how am I going to be a Knicks fan and actually write Detroit? Man. But low key, that team is really exciting. What they did last season was great, and I think Cade's going to take that next step. We're always talking about who's going to take that next step. I think Cade's going to take that next step. So I'm excited to see I'm excited to see what that team does. I think they're going to shock a lot of people. I think them, and I'm not jumping ahead, but them and Orlando, I think are going to shock a lot of people this season.
Fair enough. Well, who's next on your list?
The next team on my list, and I've always loved this team. Don't call me a front runner. I like them even when they were ass, and that's the Golden State Warriors. I'm a huge Steph Curry fan. I've always been, even before they were winning championships and things like that. I'm always a fan of the pure shooter, and Steph we know is one of the greatest in the game. But the fact that he's getting his brother to play with them, they got Jimmy buckets. And they still have, their core of Steph, of course, and Draymond. I'm excited to see what they do. They picked up some good pieces. They finally, everyone was worried because they're like, is this team ever going to fill out? They're finally filled. I think Kuminga resigned, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So I think they're going to be good. I'm not going to say like they're going to be one of the top teams in the season. They may just be like, a bottom 4 and make the playoffs. But all Steph and that team needs, all they need is just to be in the playoffs and they can make a deep run. I don't give a crap about what seed they are. As long as they're in there, they have a shot.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you look at Steph and how productive he still is as a player, right? Still, top 10 in a lot of categories, still shooting 40% from 3, basically. Like, Steph at what he's doing at this age is great. Jimmy is always a threat to go off in the playoffs. Like the scoring that he went on when he first got to Golden State was crazy because you didn't expect that. So I agree with you. Like if they get in the playoffs, they can be dangerous. They filled out their roster. They re-signed Kuminga to a 2-year deal. Got Al Horford, Seth Curry, Melton. They got some players in there. I still have questions about like how the depth's going to work for them. But, we shall see. Pods is another player that could continue to take a step up and things like that. But I'm watching the Warriors because while they re-signed Jonathan Kuminga, he's eligible to be traded mid-January. I don't think he makes it past the trade deadline as a Golden State Warrior. And what they get back for him could be what gives them the shot of their arm for the rest of the season that they need for that playoff run.
I agree with you. I don't think it's he's going to be long term. But like you said, depending on what they get back from him, if it's garbage, that could basically tell how the rest of the season is going to go. So the thing is, putting these pieces together in the depth and everything. But the good thing is they have Steve Kerr, who has one of the greatest minds in the league. Again, I'm excited to see what they do, what Steve Kerr brings, and I think they'll be fine.
Absolutely. So the next team that I want to talk about now, keep in mind this is the teams that we find interesting, that we want to watch, we're excited to see. Not necessarily teams that I think are going to like compete for a title. I went back and forth. I didn't know if I was going to talk about the Dallas Mavericks or the San Antonio Spurs here because I'm excited about seeing both those teams this season. Of course, the Dallas Mavericks with having Cooper Flag there, and does he live up to the hype in year one? But I'm going to go to San Antonio Spurs here, and the reason why, we didn't get to see a lot of De'Aaron Fox and Wemby together. That's going to be a key thing there. But I still look at this roster. You added Dylan Harper to this roster. You still got Stephen Castle there. They're going to have to try to figure out a balance with all those guards that they have. But still a well-coached team, even though Pop isn't coaching that team anymore. If Wemby can stay healthy for an entirety of a season, and him and De'Aaron Fox are out there, that's a point guard that Wemby needs to get him to the ball. I think they have some young players that are going to step up depth-wise. I could see the Spurs being anywhere from like a 44-ish win team to like a 36-ish win team, like depending on how things go. But I think either way, they're going to be really exciting to watch them play basketball this year.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. The Spurs are someone I had on my short list. They didn't make the final cut, of course. Spoiler alert, but Wemby is always fun to watch. I really hope he stays healthy this season. Again, like you said, Wemby playing with all the extra pieces they got. Stephon Castle, we'll see what he does this season. But again, this is another team that, from everything I look at, I would be shocked if they didn't take like a big leap versus last year. I mean, how low can you get versus last season, right? I think they're going to be right around where you said, which is right around 500, maybe a little bit under. But within the next, I would say 3 to 5 years, this team will be a contender. This team will be a top 4 in the West. As long as Wemby stays healthy.
Yeah, and like the thing I'm interested in seeing, like, because Wemby still, as it stands right now, still refining a lot of his game. There are times last season where opposing teams were putting wings on him to force him out the paint, and they were getting away with that, then keeping their bigs in the paint because Wemby, he doesn't deal with physicality the best right now. Once that clicks for him and the game slows down and he deals with that physicality, the sky's the limit. They're going to be in talks of being a contender every year after that, whenever that happens. And it could happen as soon as this year. So we'll see.
Yeah, if he gets to that level, he's going to be so hard to guard. He's going to be a menace, really. And like you said, like, I think they'll be in that talk every single year once that happens, if that happens, and once that happens.
Fair enough. Who's the last team on your excited to see list?
It's your 2025-2026 NBA champions, the New York Knickerbockers.
Of course.
I got you, bro. Bro, we had a good team last season already, and now we added some more players. We got Jordan Clarkson. We're probably gonna sign what's that dude? What's his name? Malcolm.
Malcolm Brogdon.
There you go. Sorry. So yeah, more than likely we're probably gonna get him, and we retained our core really. I mean, we still have Cat, we have Brunson, we have OG, just all the guys are still there. The biggest change obviously is we have Mike Brown. Tibbs obviously got fired. I'm a huge Tibbs guy. I've always loved Tibbs. I know you know about Tibbs. The thing is, I don't think Tibbs is right for us. A lot of the issues that Tibbs is known for is exactly what happened. He overworks the guys and a lot of heavy minutes during the season. I mean, the amount of games that we were up by 25 and all of our starters with 5 minutes to go in the game and all of our starters are in there was ridiculous. So I think Mike Brown is a little bit different. I think the team will be well conditioned. My biggest concern is Tibbs is a defensive coach. Mike Brown is more of an offensive coach. But I think with the guys that we have there, our defense is still going to be fine. I think he's going to bring a little bit of an offensive edge. And also, I don't think Jalen Brunson's going to have to work as hard this season. So I'm going to go right out and say I believe the Knicks will be like a number 1 or number 2 seed in terms of the Eastern Conference. And unless they go, like, if they don't go to at least the Eastern Conference championships, I would say it would be a failure of a season, in my opinion.
One of the biggest knocks on the Knicks last season was their record against above 500 teams. It wasn't good, right?
Yes.
But I think the thing that you look at is now that they've gone on that run to the Eastern Conference Finals last year, that maybe they've gotten over that hump, right? Maybe they've learned. They were 15-23 against above 500 teams last season. If they flip that and go 23-15, for example, there's no doubt they can definitely be one of the top 2 seeds in the Eastern Conference. And if what they went through in the playoffs has them better prepared for the season, then the sky's the limit for them. They were 6-2 in overtime games as well. I think that's a key thing to watch how they play in tight games. The Knicks are definitely going to be tough. And I know we're previewing our next episode, which is coming Sunday, but don't be surprised if a New York Knicks is on my MVP list. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah.
Is it Charlie Brown Jr.? No, we got rid of him.
Yeah. So my number 1 team I'm excited to see, and JB, I don't know how much you've been watching the podcast over the summer when you've been out, but I got all the stock in on the Houston Rockets. I know they lost Fred VanVleet. I understand that, and that's a big loss for them. But Amin Thompson, I think, is going to be Amin Thompson, when it's all said and done, is going to be one of the best, if not the best, two-way player in the NBA. I really do think that. I think he has a chance to be the best two-way player in the NBA. Alperen Sengun had an amazing run in Eurobasket. I think that's going to be important for them. Jabari Smith seems like he's a player another one that could be ready to make another step and leap this season. And the thing that the Rockets were missing was a scorer who can score when they can't get a bucket, that can go out there and isolate and get a bucket. Kevin Durant, still a top 10 scorer in the league, one of the most efficient scorers in the league. They don't have that point guard. Now, KD is not a leader, and what Fred VanVleet was going to bring is leadership that I think KD needs. So I'm a little concerned about how that balance is going to work out, but I'm still really excited to watch the Houston Rockets this year.
I'm going to try to keep my hate for KD at a minimum, but no, man, I'm sorry to say this, but there's a couple of guys in this league, and I'll probably get hate for this, but KD, Russell Westbrook, James Harden.
So basically,
PG,
all the Orlando Thunder.
They're all like, I'm sorry for saying this, but they're basically cancerous. Like, I don't see these guys as number 1 options winning a title ever. KD is a number 2. Like, if Fred VanVleet was healthy, I could see maybe Houston, maybe doing something. How long is he out for, Fred VanVleet?
It's a torn ACL, so he's done the whole season.
Yeah, he's done for the season. Yeah, Kevin Durant, I think I'm sorry to say this, but I think he lacks mental fortitude. And,
for sure. That's why I said he's not a leader. He needs somebody there. Yeah.
Yeah. He needs to delete his Twitter or whatever hell, his IG or whatever, and just play ball. And don't get me wrong, they'll probably be a good team, make the playoffs, probably, top 3 team, top 2 team even. But when it comes to the playoffs, man, I don't know.
We'll see. And the thing about the Rockets is they have so many assets that if they they said they're gonna, I don't know if you saw, it came out that they're gonna use up until December 15th ish when players could be traded to evaluate how they feel what's going on with the point guard situation. So Reed Shepherd and Min Thompson are going to try to use them as ball handlers. But they have Tari Eason as a trade chip. They have a bunch of the Phoenix first round picks. So they got a lot of things that they can use to try to go out and get a point guard. I'm interested to see. Had the Fred VanVleet injury happened earlier, this would have been a great spot for Chris Paul. It would have been a great spot for Chris Paul.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so, we'll see what happens there, but I'm still excited to see how their season goes. But let's flip it. JB, we talk very positively. Let's get into the shits, bro. And talk about the teams that we think aren't going to be good this season. I'm going to actually kick this one off because the team that I am not excited to see at all, and I'll even admit this. I'll say this: they could be solid this season. It depends on how some things shake for them. I watched a lot of Philadelphia 76ers games last season, hoping that they were going to turn around. I actually enjoy watching Tyrese Maxey play basketball, but with Paul George, Joel Embiid, their inability to stay healthy, I think the 76ers are going to struggle next season. That's just my thought process. Like I said, I can admit that there's a chance, especially in the Eastern Conference, if they can get health, they can turn that thing around. But I think they have a weird mix of all these guards and wings that all play similar. Like, they're all very similar. Tyrese Maxey, Quentin Grimes, Jared McCain, VJ Edgecombe, like having all those guys trying to figure out their balance. Like, they all ideally play the one or the two. I guess you can play VJ Edgecombe at the three, but like trying to figure out that balance could be ugly. I think the 76ers are going to struggle. What do you think?
Nah, I highly agree with you. I will say Tyrese Maxey is one of the rising stars in the league. Absolutely. For sure. He had his breakout moments as we saw the last couple seasons. The problem is, like you said, between Embiid and Paul George, these guys are not guys you can count on. They get injured every season. It sucks to say, but we'll see what Embiid does. We'll see if he stays healthy this season. Obviously, he didn't play in the offseason. He was out. So we'll see what they do. But just looking at what history says, these guys are going to probably get injured at some point in the season, and it's going to tank the whole season. That's typically the way it'll go, is my guess.
Yeah, for sure. We shall see. I mean, listen, the thing that I always say with the 76ers is that I feel like they have to start building their team in a way to where like they feel like they're good even when Embiid's not there, and just let him, when he's there, that it just takes him over the top. But they're not there yet. To say they got some interest. Dembana, I like him as a future center for them. Potentially, I like them. They still got Andre Drummond there, so they're going to have some solid center play even without Embiid being there. But that team could crash and burn very easily. But what's your bottom team there, JB?
So the first team I'm going to talk about is the Sacramento Kings. I think they are going to fall off. I mean, last season I believe they were like 40 and 42, or they were. I think they were a touch under 500. I think they're going to have even a bigger drop off this season. I mean, when you look on paper, Zach LaVine, you have my mind just went blank. DeMar DeRozan and Sabonis. On paper, it looks great, but you have to also remember these dudes are aging as well. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen with DeRozan. I mean, there's been talks he might come off the bench, even though he doesn't want to do that. They didn't sign any big players. They didn't any big moves. I don't think these guys even make the playoffs this season, which is crazy because they had like a decent foundation. I think if they had a couple moves, a couple young guys, something like that, maybe they at least they get somewhere into the playoffs, maybe a middle team. I think they have a huge drop off this season. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think a drop off is coming there for them as well. It's one of those teams that I think if you look at them, you can try to convince yourself that they'll be better than what they are, but I think it's going to be ugly, and I think they're going to struggle very early on as well. Yeah,
for sure.
So, all right, let's get into my next team that I'm going to talk about, and this is a team that I'm not I like the young pieces and the direction their roster's going, but I think it's still going to be very ugly for them next season. That's the Washington Wizards. I like a lot they got Trey Johnson in the draft. I like I said, I like some of the pieces that they actually have on their roster, but I just think they're 2 years away from being 2 years away, and it's going to be ugly 2 years at that.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of growing pains right now. In the next 4 or 5 years, we'll see what happens. But as of right now, it's going to be ugly. It's going to be a bloodbath. If you're a Washington Wizards fan, just hold your breath and just count the seasons. That's what I did in the 2000s with the Knicks. So your time will eventually come, but it's not right now.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. What's next for you?
The next thing I'm going to talk about, and I don't know how this will be received, but I think I'm going to go with a team that's going to suck this season is the Boston Celtics. I know there's
really
talk, yes. And I'm not saying that as hate either. I'm like, this is totally unbiased, but I know there's talks and there's optimism about Jayson Tatum possibly coming back. I don't think that's going to happen. I believe, but first of all, if he is going to come back, it's probably going to be on the second half of the season. I think by then that team is absolutely garbage. If you have your franchise player that has a chance to come back mid-season and maybe make like a number 7, number 8 seed or a play-in, is it really worth it? I don't think so. I think they're gonna just let the season go. Honestly, just have them sit out this season and just repackage for next season. I don't think Tatum coming back is going to be a question. I don't believe Tatum will be back. I think they'll send him out for long term. That's the best way. There's no sense in chasing a title this season when Tatum's going to miss half the games. Jaylen Brown, I think, again, in my opinion, he's shown he's not a number one. At least in my opinion, he needs help. They lost a lot of people. I mean, Kristaps Porzingis is gone. Al Horford is gone. Cornette is gone. I mean, yeah, I know they still got some pieces. They got Derek White. They got Pritchard, etc. It's just not enough. I'm going to even go as far as to say, if Tatum doesn't come back, which I believe they won't. He won't this season. They won't even make the playoffs.
See, the way that I view the Celtics, and this is because it's the Eastern Conference, like, to me, even with them still having Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, Jaylen Brown, we've seen teams in the East make the playoffs with less, make the play-in with less, right? Like, and I get it. Like, they've lost a lot to that team. And I'm not trying to make it sound like their roster's much better than where it is, but I just think those 3 players could be enough to propel them in an Eastern Conference to the playoffs or something, at least the play-in. Now, I do agree with you. With them getting their own first-round pick back and in a deep draft, they would benefit from not making the playoffs this year, getting a lottery pick, especially with how much they gave up this year with Kristaps and Drew Holiday being gone. Like, the Celtics adding not only Jayson Tatum back, but then also a lottery pick in this upcoming draft, they could be right back there, a contender in the Eastern Conference next season. So I understand that part, but I just think in the East, man, I just have learned not to count out any team in the East. All it takes is a balance, is a good balance, right? A team that's connected, good coaching, and a player to put this team on their shoulders. And Jaylen Brown hasn't done that yet, but I do think some of that's there. And if he has a really good season, I can see them making the playoffs. But I can understand also why you put them there for sure.
Yeah, and I will say I agree with you. If Jaylen Brown can have a good season, they will for sure make the playoffs because unfortunately the East is not that great. I think with 40 wins, you'll probably make the playoffs. And that's under 500, obviously, but that's banking on if Jaylen Brown is that guy, and I don't think he's that guy. Can he have big games? Absolutely. We've seen it a million times. But on a consistent level without Tatum, I don't see it.
Fair enough. My last team is the Phoenix Suns. I think that this team is going to be disgusting this season, bro. Like first of all, how can you see what happened to them last year and they still look at it and say, you know what, we still don't need a point guard. What? You're running Jalen Green at point guard with Devin Booker. Did you not learn from Bradley Beal and Devin Booker being the point guard? Like that, Dylan Brooks is there. They have Mark Williams as their center, who when he's on the court is good, make no mistake about it, but he's not very consistent with being on the court. I think this Suns team is going to struggle this season. They won 36 games last year. I don't see them winning very much more than that. I think it's going to be ugly there. I think they're going to lose a lot of basketball games.
So actually, right before we came on air, I had the Suns, but I swapped them out for the Kings because I thought to myself, I'm like, the Suns were already terrible last season, and now they got rid of KD. They're definitely not going to get better. They have sad because Devin Booker is in my opinion, a great player, but you have to have pieces around you, right? And he does not have that. So they're not going to win a lot of games. I mean, I would say under 35 games, might be even under 30. We're talking about watching being a bloodbath. This will absolutely be a bloodbath.
Yeah, in the Western Conference, especially at that, like, and if the San Antonio Spurs, like the Phoenix Suns barely missed out on the play-in last year. Well, not barely. They, despite all their struggles, they were 3 games outside the play-in, right? But you got San Antonio, who lost Wemby and Fox, during that season. The Pelicans, Zion looks healthy again. I could see them leapfrogging it. I think this is going to be a very ugly. Listen, I said if Zion.
Zion's going to be eating cookie dough by week 2.
Bro, he's already eating beignets, bro. He's back in New Orleans, bro. He's already eating them.
How long till Luka does the same thing?
That's hilarious. But yeah, I can see a world in which the Jazz and the Phoenix Suns are the worst 2 teams in the Western Conference next season. For
sure, the Jazz. And I hate to say it because I used to be a huge fan of them because their games are always on at night, and but the Blazers, and I've always been a big Dame fan. But I think I know we're going off topic here, but I think Jazz and Blazers and Phoenix could probably be the bottom 3 in the West.
Okay. All right. Well, who's your last team, JP?
My last team, and I'm going to make this very short and sweet, is the Brooklyn Nets. I think they're going to be the worst team in the East. I'm not even going to go into summary. I'm just going to point blank say there's only one team in New York, and it's not Brooklyn Nets, and they're going to easily be the worst team in the East. I mean, I'm not even going to go into a summary. They're just terrible.
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, they had 5 first-round picks that I was saying all summer. There's no way they're going to draft all those guys. They kept all those picks, and if they end up hitting, then cool, great. But like, you got Igor Dimon, who's going to be the starting point guard. He can't shoot, but I do like him as a future piece. You got Danny Wolf, who they drafted as well. Drake Powell, like they got some interesting pieces. Nick Claxton is a trade piece. Michael Porter Jr. is going to be on this team. Like, to imagine going for Michael Porter Jr. competing for titles, so now you're on a Brooklyn Nets team.
I can only imagine what's going on through that dude's head. Like, you want a contender, and now you're going to be lucky if you win 25 games.
Yeah, that's shit. They may be lucky if they win 15 games. That's going to be an ugly, ugly team. But it's one of those teams that I think they're doing it by design. Like, I think they're going to keep tanking until they feel like they got their star and hope that at that point they haven't done enough as much damage to everybody around who's still on the team. So we'll see what happens there. But I agree. The Brooklyn Nets are going to be ass this season.
I'm going to end it with this. They're still paying for what Cade did to them. And that's what I'm talking about. Like that KD, like they're still there. So
the Brooklyn Nets are on the wrong side of 2 of the worst trades of NBA history. Like, when you go and look at the fact that Jaylen Brown was one of the picks that the Celtics got from them in the KD and Paul Pierce trade. They keep in mind, they traded for KD and Paul Pierce thinking that it was going to make them a contender. They lost to the Bulls in the first round of the playoffs. And they gave up all those picks. Then you turn around and trade for KD. And you get Kyrie there, and I think they signed KD, but then you get him and Kyrie there, and that you haven't rebounded as a franchise at all from them. You gave him too many keys, so you're right, bro. It's ugly as fuck, is what that is for Brooklyn, bro.
Yeah, those teams have years to go. They're beyond, like, right now. So
yeah, they're barely an NBA team.
Yeah.
With that said, anything left, JB, before we get up out of here, brother?
Nah, man, glad to be back. You're going to see a lot more content from this duo, and can't wait till the season starts, man. We're a couple weeks away.
Absolutely, man. Make sure you guys are following us at NBA Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, NBA Central Show at gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, 773-270-2799. We're the number one spot for everything basketball related. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Breaks Media.